I'm Dr. Ray Dykes, and this is the Personal Faith Program. This podcast is about how and why the church exploited the idea of sin. It is a sin when a human intentionally and with malice aforethought hurts another human with word or deed. It's an egotistical act to claim that one has sinned against God. Paul of Tarsus was the first to announce the notion of original sin to bolster his original doctrine of atonement and give atonement a universal scope. The church through the centuries has promoted the concept of sin and the necessity of forgiveness to keep control of the masses using fear and guilt. Intent is the key to sin. How many times in the course of your lifetime have you intentionally hurt another person with word or deed? There is no such thing as accidental sin. Many people think of sin as breaking one of the 10 Commandments, not knowing that there are 603 more commandments, most of which they are unaware. They're just not aware of them. Rarely do people break any of these commandments intentionally, but accidentally or out of ignorance. How many times in the course of your lifetime have you intentionally hurt God with word or deed? To claim you have sinned against God is to claim a self-importance for yourself that's beyond reason, because it means you have put yourself on the same level with God. That means you've brought your concept of God down to a human level. Paul invented the idea that God sent Jesus down from heaven to earth to die for the sins of the human race to appease the wrath of God. That's the doctrine of atonement, substitutionary atonement. In his letter to the Roman church, Paul expanded this doctrine with the doctrine of original sin, saying that the sinful disobedience of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, the original sin, has been transmitted in the DNA of every person who's ever lived throughout the whole. Therefore, the whole of humanity is infected with sin from birth, making necessary the salvation made possible by faith in Jesus Christ. 300 years after Paul, 56.5% of the inhabitants of the Roman Empire expressed faith in Jesus Christ. The original followers of Jesus were called the people of the way of Jesus. They were a Jewish sect group led by Peter and James. They were motivated by the teachings of Jesus about love and justice and compassion. Paul changed all that. His first invention was the idea that Jesus was returning to judge the earth tomorrow, introducing the first level of fear. The second level of fear was reached with the doctrine of atonement, and the third level came with the doctrine of original sin. Both of these levels adding the motivation of guilt. Paul's brilliance was seen in recognizing that much more control can be maintained if the masses are motivated by fear and guilt than if they are motivated by love and justice and compassion. With notable exceptions, the church through the ages has continued to control Christians with fear and guilt, using prayers of confession and confessional booths, for example, and emphasizing that the church is the source of forgiveness of sins, using the declaration of pardon, for example. Some thoughts about sin. Did that strike a chord with you? Did that straw touch your clay? See you next time.